Hey guys, how you doing? Cody here, and today I'm sitting down with my good friend Andrew Batting, and today we're going to discuss getting huge. Now, for some of you who don't know who this big guy is sitting right next to me, he's a he's a former Mr. Australia of 2006, and we actually go a fair way back. We actually met at FTI doing our
drawing
animation.
cartoons.
Yeah, drawing cartoons, believe it or not. This guy's got a bit more talent than just muscles. So just by way of fortune, I guess, it happens to be that he also lived in Brisbane. So I just gave him a call and said, let's get together and have a chat and see if you can help me out with this 12-week challenge. So Andrew, if you wouldn't mind, having a, tell the guys who you are and stuff.
Yeah, you've already covered it.
Haven't I? As you know, I'm doing this 12-week challenge and I'm trying to get huge and ripped at the same time. And with your experience, I just wanted to talk to you about how I can optimize my 12 weeks to get as massive as possible. So I guess my first question then is, in terms of just fundamentals of getting huge, like what are they? Like, are they is it nutrition? Is it like exercises, particular times you work out, like frequency that you work out? Like what are the basics to getting huge?
There are a lot of, to be honest, there's a lot of bullshit out there in magazines and on websites and things, and if that were the truth, then everyone would be walking around looking like Arnold. Yeah, right. Or Ronnie Coleman or something like that. Okay. There are a few secrets. I'm not an expert, but I was training under, as I said, Brad McMillan at Pure Fitness. He's helped quite a few people get to a universe level or a world level in bodybuilding, and what I learned was from him, and he's actually proven his techniques and things. Now, a couple of the most basic things for growing muscle and getting in shape is obviously food. Food's the biggest thing. Food's what makes you grow.
Yeah, that's a key thing.
If you want to get big, you got to eat. Simple as that.
Is that right?
Yeah. You remember back in FTI days, I had a stupid saying. If anyone came to me for advice, I'd say you got to eat.
Yeah, right.
It's always you got to eat, and you got to eat in a certain way. We can go into that in more detail, but the other thing is the way you train and what you're training for. If you're training for endurance, if you're training for strength, or you're training for muscle size and definition, those are three different ways of training. And there are many different ways of training out there. There are different ideas. People have different ideas about how to train, what's the best idea. There's been different methods around for hundreds of years as to what to train, what's the best idea. Each individual's body is different. You obviously got good genetics because you've got the Polynesian background. They've got strong muscle builds. They've got the genetics to be able to do that. Genetics plays a big part in it, but not necessarily. I don't have the genetics for that. I'm a very small frame. All my brothers and sisters are very skinny. I was very skinny. I actually had to sit there and eat and train my guts out to try and get to where I got to, and it paid off, but it was under guidance from someone who knew. So the biggest thing I would say is to find someone who's got the education and knowledge and has proven it time and time again, and actually has a track record with proving it with what they can do.
And that's exactly what you do with Brad McMillan.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. And so he, I guess, guided you towards, winning your, title with Mr. Australia in 2006. And so I guess he was then educating you about nutrition as being the key thing to.
We didn't really we didn't go into nutrition per se as a dietitian would. Okay. But he taught me what to eat, when to eat, and how much to eat. But it was basic guidelines on what to eat and why and when and how much. Right. The biggest key is you've got to force as much food into your body that your body is actually going to use as an energy source and to build muscle as you physically can. Okay. Now that can also be harmful because high protein diets, as you probably know, can be toxic on the liver and kidneys. So you've got to, there are things that you've got to understand about how the body works, how much protein the body can absorb in each sit, and whether or not you need carbohydrates for the body to be able to absorb that as well. Yeah, most people think they can have just protein and it'll actually work. It doesn't actually work that way. You've got to have carbs as well for the body to absorb the protein.
Yeah, that's right.
You need a certain amount of carbs per grams of protein and all that sort of thing. You need carbs to be able for the body to break down the protein. Yep. Otherwise you're just wasting it. There are different types of carbs as well. You can't have how do you put this? If you have simple carbs, that's not going to be any good. You'll have you know, a sugar rush, or you know, an insulin spike and things like that. You want to keep it so it's clean fuels that your body can actually use for its benefit. All I was using was broccoli and white rice or brown rice.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that, along with 200 grams of chicken or fish, or 250 grams chicken and fish.
Yep.
Every 2 hours.
And that was per meal.
Yeah.
Was that every meal?
Every meal. I obviously replaced the rice with broccoli after lunchtime, because you're not as active after lunchtime and during the night, so you want something that's more complex rather than the rice. The rice is still going to be like a much simpler form of carbohydrates.
Okay.
So you want to actually have something else that isn't as high glycemic index and all the rest of it, and doesn't need to be burnt off straight away. So broccoli's the one to go for.
Okay, right.
Which has also got the iron and other nutrients in it as well. So because you're just eating fish and chicken, you're not going to have what you would get out of red meat.
Okay, sure. All right, so so that's interesting. So with each meal, you're always having like chicken and broccoli and rice. I mean, you were?
Yeah.
Okay, that's disturbing.
Why? Gas?
No, it's just interesting because like just from things that I've been reading, like, and I guess this goes back to what you said, you know, at the beginning. You know, like it's interesting that like here you are, like you won the title just on a very basic kind of diet, but then like there's a lot of information out there where people are saying that you've got to mix it up, but you just kind of contradicted.
Well, not really. See, the thing is, you've got to decipher what people say. When people say they've got to have this and they've got to have that, it's because they hate eating the one thing. That sort of diet is very boring, very tedious, and very hard to stick to.
Right. No
one's going to stick to it. It was hard for me to stick to it. So I was using 99% fat-free sauces without any sugars and things like that in it.
Sure.
I was using spices and things that don't have calories and fats and sugars in them, just to add a bit of flavour to it. Otherwise, you wouldn't stick to it.
Yeah, sure.
That's how people say mix it up. You don't need to mix anything up, because all you need to do is feed your body what it needs to grow and burn fat.
Okay, sure.
And the only way you're going to burn fat is to increase your metabolism. How do you increase your metabolism?
Eat more regularly.
Yeah, by increasing your food intake, but it's got to be clean food that the body can use. Most of what we actually excrete at the end of the day is man-made carbohydrates.
Okay, so what do you mean
the body's not using it, so we're passing it through our bodies.
Okay.
So if you stick to clean food, I'm getting an itchy nose, excuse me. If you stick to clean foods that the body's going to use as a fuel and a protein source, is going to actually use it all up. There's not going to be much of a byproduct to expel at the end of the day.
Right.
I wasn't, having a bowel movement every single day. Some people do. If they eat McDonald's and stuff like that, they go maybe 3 times a day. I was probably going once every 2 days.
Okay.
That's not a bad thing. The doctor might tell you that's bad for your heart, because if you're doing that, you're not, cleaning it. But we won't go into the details of that sort of thing as to how soft it was or anything like that. But go and see your heart. But yeah, what you eat, how that works in the body, and it also depends on individual blood types and their body types as well. Some people are predisposed to putting on weight if they eat rice or something like that, so they probably wouldn't be able to. Some people are naturally larger people. Some people are ectomorphs, mesomorphs, and endomorphs and things like that. So ectomorphs have to put oil in their diet, because if they went on a diet like mine and there's no oil coming in naturally, they're going to end up with arthritis or something. They're going to get all the oil and the fats out of their bodies that they need. So they'll have to put oil in their diet and things like that. So as far as it goes to mixing up, as I said before, no one's the same. There are no two people that are the same. Everybody's different. You have to find out what works for your body. But there are basics you can put into place, and that is the basic diet. Proteins and carbs that are clean and the body can use every 2 hours or 2.5 hours, so that you can actually replenish the body and get in a positive nitrogen balance and that sort of thing.
Okay. Why is this bench so sticky?
That's what I was worried about.
Why is it so friggin' sticky?
I think they had fun here.
Yeah, that's disturbing. I don't want to leave that.
Anyway.